welcome to another episode of the Daring to Dad podcast, where we have conversations at the intersections of fatherhood, masculinity, and faith. My name is Ryan. I'm a dad coach. I work one-on-one with men and fathers. At the end of the day, though, I'm just really curious about these topics, and I love exploring these conversations, hearing from different people. Today, talking to my younger brother, Reid. Reid's a marriage and family therapist in Orange County. He's been doing this for a long time, someone I have so much respect for. He just put out a book called Finding Our Way Again, Poems and Conversations for Rediscovering Relationship Intimacy. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our own upbringing and kind of growing up in the 80s and 90s and how that shaped some of our perspectives on fatherhood and faith, masculinity, all this stuff. We also get into a unique experience he has had in leading his family and children through grief. And so we get into some of those topics as well. I'm so excited to share this conversation with you today. Please enjoy. All right, here we are. How's it going, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's good to hang out with you today.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about getting our baseball cards together and going over get the Beckett out from
Oh,
1995 and
the
see what
Beckett, trade up some baseball cards.
the Beckett's make some trades, bro.
Kids don't have it like they used to, man.
No,
But here
nope.
we are, decades later, sitting with you, now author and
Yeah.
and recording artist. Let's not forget.
Let's not forget. Um,
Okay, so I
yeah.
was I was I was thinking about this, and I have some thoughts, right? So
Okay.
both you and I in our college days recorded like albums, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking about how grateful I am that it happened during that time where it wasn't this whole digital thing where people could actually look up that stuff material right now and find it. So I'm grateful for that. I will also say, and I don't know if I've ever told you this before.
Oh
I
no.
do think your album is superior to mine.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
say that, yes, I will say it because number
Huh.
one, number one, you wrote your own songs. I did was like I think all covers, and
Mm. Yeah.
and I did this thing too, and hopefully people will find this funny. You know, there are a lot of because um, for those of you listening, these were like kind of like praise and worship, like church music, like albums.
Right.
And
Right.
and one of the things that is interesting about sometimes church music is if you don't understand the context, some of these songs can sound like rather sexual, like in nature. And I did a few songs and recorded a few songs on this little album that we did that definitely fall into that category. And I listen to now and I belly laugh because I'm like I was not even thinking that way, and these songs sound. I literally did a song on my album called Let It Rise, and I just feel like that and
Dude,
several other songs just have that vibe.
you were getting people up, man.
Yeah, yeah. In a way, yes. In a way.
No, I still at dinner parties, Joelle will bring that up. My wife Joelle will bring that up. Hey, or like someone that knows me for a long time. Like, oh my gosh, well, did you also know that Reed did like an album? Friends are like, what?
They want to
And
hear it.
I'm like,
They want to hear it.
"Mm, if you can find it on MySpace, please.
I played your album for my kids. I remember one night, like driving home from somewhere, and like they were like, man, this is good. They were impressed, man. So
They were
I
mom,
mean,
head mom.
hey, all that to say, you've done some stuff. I'm sitting here. I'm holding the new book, which I do want to talk to you about.
Sure.
And we'll get into some of that stuff. But obviously,
Awesome.
these conversations are around like things like fatherhood and masculinity and faith, and I mean, you're obviously a dad, but you also have this training as a therapist and these
Yeah.
experiences that I think people would find really valuable. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about some stuff even just together. I've been thinking a lot about what shaped a lot of like my early impressions and ideals around what was important about being a good dad. What were like
Yeah.
some of the qualities that define being like a good dad? And I'm curious to know like your take on this and the environment that we grew up in, yet we're still two different people, have different experiences. I'm curious to know what some of your um early impressions were about like what it meant to be like a good dad, what was a good father, not just from like our dad, but like the people and the culture around us. What do you remember being some of those things?
I think for me, so I think about like me personally, right? Like what I recall or remember or going through specifically. And then I think obviously as doing therapy and going through school and all this, I think about also things that were maybe going on around me, right?
Mhm.
That affected me to varying degrees. Um, I think I don't remember a whole lot of people being like, this is a man, this is not a man, this is like the conversation in the 80s, 90s, at least from my experience, was not overtly like I think it is now being talked more so about.
Mhm.
I think that it was my experience was more just on character and who you were and who you are. I mean, I think growing up, one of the things I appreciate many things about my growing up experience. One of the things that I can appreciate still from the kind of Christian community, like growing up at a Young Life camp and growing up around Young Life people, I constantly was hanging out with older people like you, your friends, people 10 years older, 15, 20 years older. And I felt like I just got more of the uh, fun, who you are in relationship, connecting, like being silly, having fun, caring about you. I got a lot of that. That was a lot of, I think, what I took from growing up, I think, in like the Young Life, our summer camps, knowing people from all over
Mhm.
that would come in for months at a time and hanging out with you and your friends and being part of like worship band and I just felt a lot of like love and care
Mhm. Mhm.
from guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And maybe that was part of me being the younger one, always tagging along,
Mhm.
is I got a little bit maybe that extra love and that extra softness and like, but yet
Yeah.
you're one of us and let me rub your head, but you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
So I think I got a lot of that,
Yeah.
me personally.
Yeah. I think that's very similar to my experience. I think one of the things I'm really grateful for about the upbringing that we had, the environment that we were in growing up at this like, Christian resort
Right,
camp, and
right.
being around a lot of people who were valuing things of the heart,
Yeah.
people who were valuing relationship
Mm-hmm.
and a certain love for the world and for others. I think that was really,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really valuable. So I agree with that. That is very unique.
Yeah. There was that was the part that I think I appreciated and enjoyed and spent the most time with.
Hmm.
And then I think also in that we were surrounded by intelligent, fun, caring women,
Yeah.
right? Of the same age differences that were very
Hmm.
kind and sweet,
Hmm.
generous, with a lot of positive experiences
Hmm. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
people that are focusing just on relationship and being like a good person and being like a fun person. And
Hmm.
I think that always stood out for me as main ways. But again, I don't think that there was a lot of overt conversation that I recall of like, this is a man or this, obviously
Hmm.
there were things going on in the background, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously us growing up in the faith community, there are things that as I look back on, you go kind of interesting messages or, oh, it's kind of an interesting assumption about
Mhm.
um, men and women or what it means to be a man.
Can you think of
But again,
anything specific and how that like has maybe shifted for you?
well, I think like yeah, right. Like I think I was just talking to someone about this recently, and we were talking about like women in the church, and some of the there's a church out here that's starting to get more women pastors, and it's like congratulations, welcome to the 21st century. Like, so
Yeah.
proud of you.
Hmm. Yeah.
There can be an aspect of it that's like, hey, we we are giving away this beautiful power to women. Like, women are
Hmm.
so smart, so great, so capable. Wink, wink, like, because we allow
Yeah.
them to
Right.
step in this role now.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of that growing up about like men are the leaders just naturally. We're
Yeah.
naturally power suit, power tie, power steering. We're just, it's not our fault.
Hmm.
We are supposed to be like Christ, giving,
Yeah.
loving as he loved the bride. And there's something
Y-
about that's kind of a slap in the face, I think, because not that men can't be phenomenal leaders and can't be awesome. It's so many areas. So are women, not at the gifting of me to them,
Right.
right?
You're right.
So in
Yes. Yeah.
right, like
The power is ours to give, and we are granting this, and we're giving it. Like
because
this.
I
Yeah.
allow it to be given.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's a subtleness in that over time, and even actually learned at Biola University of all places, egalitarian relationships and this idea of like, no, there's equal power. There's
Hmm.
differences in skills and abilities, of course. We're equal in power, and not
Hmm.
because I sacrifice for you to give it
Hmm.
to you, simply because you have it,
Hmm.
and we are very much equals with, again, different skill sets and personalities, yet
Hmm.
equal.
Yeah.
I think those are subtleties.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely grew up around kind of lines in the sand around who could do what and all this for sure. I relate to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, so kind of growing up, and then, and I remember this because I was there. Becoming a dad, even
Oof.
yourself. I mean, I remember my early days of fatherhood just really wrecked me, and I'm wondering if you could share maybe some of those early days of becoming a dad. You know,
You
because
know,
you got an almost teenager at home now. It's been a bit, but what was that like?
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Almost 13-year-old, almost 11-year-old, and now almost a 2-year-old. Honestly, I think grad school was helpful. Like,
Hmm.
going through, like when I was going through grad school and doing all that, taking classes and development, human development, and really engaging more with like, oh, like this is what's going on, was such a huge help
Hmm.
in not just walking in and being like, what is happening
Hmm.
to my child? Why are they just randomly screaming? Or
Hmm.
why won't they sleep? And like all the things. I remember, and still to this day don't have all the answers or a whole lot of necessarily great ones. I think that I've learned to like be a little scared and a little excited and go with the flow a bit. I think it's overwhelming process to be a parent, and yet it's one I wouldn't want to go back from.
Hmm.
It's one that's so incredibly painful because it takes so much energy and time, and it
Hmm.
makes you confront things that it's one thing to confront something just on your own or about you, but then to help someone else confront something or deal with something,
Hmm.
and then try to like, gosh, what is it that I really do believe about this? What is
Yeah.
it that I really do? How,
Hmm.
that's where like, shoot, this is like challenging me to really like put my
Uh-huh.
beliefs and my, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
really, because again, I can kind of keep it secret in me or what I think and how I deal. But if I'm like, oh, just shut it down and don't think about it, it's like, is that what
Yeah.
I do? Huh?
Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah.
good answer? I don't know. I think it makes you just confront that stuff, which is
Sure.
not fun
Yeah.
personally to me.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I have all of it. I'm thinking back, like scared, overwhelmed, excited, nervous. I live in Orange County. There's a lot of pressure to be like, give your kid the best everything and the best everything, the best school, the best this, and have all
Hmm.
the nannies and have all the things and do the things and make sure there's da
Yeah.
da da and make sure they have a 401k, da 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 da. That I personally have learned a lot from how to appreciate some aspects of that, but also I think again, maybe this is our family of origin stuff. Like life's gonna happen. Like let's be together. Let's have a good time together.
Yep.
Let's love each other. That's gonna be the
Sure.
thing that
Hmm.
gets us through. And
Yeah.
then so I don't know
Yeah.
if that answers your question, but
No, no, yeah, it does. No, for sure. Because I remember thinking, when Joelle got pregnant, and all of a sudden you guys were like, "Hey, like we're having a little girl," and we were all like, "Whoa!" But because we were like, we grew up in this house, of boys. Like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
you and I, and mom was the only girl. I mean, even the dogs were boys, and that's kind of how we rolled. And then you have this daughter come onto the scene,
Yeah, yeah,
and I was like, oh my gosh, what are do we know what to do? Is how different is this going to be?
right.
Like, it was. Did you feel
Yeah.
any um fear or concern around that?
Like people still to this day ask me, right? Even before my the third Crosby, when she was like Joel got pregnant, it was like, "Do you want a boy? Like, do you want to keep going till you have a boy?" And I always thought it was an interesting question because it's like as if I have a choice anyway, right?
Right,
Like
right,
I
yeah,
get the chromosome comes from me, but like I don't like decide that, right? Like
sure,
it's one of those things in life you learn to accept. I think for me, honestly, I was so pumped. Like maybe there's a part of me that was like, thank God, like it's a girl. Is there kind of more pressure on Joelle than me now? Like as a
yeah,
mom, like to her to teach and guide in more feminine ways, and that am I kind of off
yeah,
the hook a little bit, right? Like my
yeah,
kid, I don't have the son that I feel like is this little representation of me. So now you got to go be the best baseball player or the best thing, even though my
yeah,
girls play club soccer and I still feel that a little bit. I don't know, man. I think for me, and again, maybe this was a little bit about going through grad school and being around, doing a lot of these conversations. I honestly, like, most of who children are is not like biologically sex driven anyway,
hmm, yeah,
right?
right, totally,
Watching Star
yeah.
Wars or doing like going to the store, like cooking or all those stuff is like we can do that with any
You
of
can
our
be with
kids.
anybody. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Really
yeah, sure.
anybody, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think most of it was like, oh gosh, maybe was I and am I a little bit more soft or a little bit more like I don't know because I don't have a boy, so I don't know
yeah.
what I would be doing. I do know with my nephews, I'm a little bit more rougher. I'm a little bit more
Hmm.
right, a little bit more
Yeah,
tougher with them. I think in some
yeah,
physical ways, but not drastically. So I honestly think that for me, I didn't. I looked at it almost was like I don't have a choice. And if I'm gonna have a boy or a girl,
hmm,
there's honestly not that many differences. I mean, there clearly are differences, and
yeah,
yet there's mostly not, right?
yeah,
Because
sure.
again, 22 pairs of chromosomes are not sexual. Like they're literally
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't want to put too much stock in the
I love
difference.
that. I
You
love
know what I
that.
mean?
And like I'm so grateful that we have now this, family of,
Mm.
uh just diverse, kids and experiences, and
Well, now it's so
um
many girls.
yeah. Yeah,
Poor
now
poor Rhodes.
there's a lot of girls. Um that's great, man. I love that, and I love that, the three girls and how they've shaped, this family and stuff. But
Yeah.
um I wanna transition a little bit. You said something a minute ago about, it's one thing to guide yourself and self lead
Mm.
through certain situations and scenarios and what you believe about the world and how you experience things. When you're influencing and you're leading a child, it feels like the stakes are so much higher.
Yeah.
Um, you all have been through um, some hard situations in the past, year
Mm.
and a bit with your family, the
Yeah. two
loss of
years.
a grandparent, the loss of a cousin, uh, that have been really, really difficult
Hmm.
for all of you. And I'm sure there could be people out here listening who have been through um,
Yeah.
really tough situations and kids dealing with like deep grief.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what you have learned as a parent, as a therapist in this situation about like walking with kids like through grief while also simultaneously dealing with some of your own and what that's been like and maybe what you've learned along the way.
Yeah. Um, so fucking sucks, first and
There's no way
foremost.
around it. Yeah, there's no way around it.
Like
Yeah.
you can slice and dice, and even the things that I may talk about at the tail end of this doesn't take away, I think, the pain and the hurt. But yeah, my father-in-law died about 2 years ago. Yeah, actually, several months before their girl's first dog that they loved, Shug. He was a French
Yeah.
bulldog, died kind of
Yeah. Oh.
suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
A couple months later, my father-in-law passes away from cancer, which is what our dog did. And then my niece, my daughter's cousin, who had just turned 12, she passed away from a rare form of cancer. They had been battling cancer for a long time. It sucks to hear the type of crying and screaming
Mm-hmm.
that even to this day still comes out of my girls'
Mm-hmm.
mouths is something that I will never ever forget. Just nights and nights and nights of crying and screaming and snot, and just is something that again, when you're dealing with it on your own, is like one thing to manage, and that's hard enough. To then sit with a child with a brain development of a certain abilities and in their bodies, it is something that is really really sad. And facing these questions about the whys and the what happens next, and never being able to see people again,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that you have no good answer, because the only good answer is that this wouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only good answer.
Yeah, that would really help. That
That
like
would really help, right? I
eliminate
mean,
what's going on.
I
Right.
get that there are some things that we can do, and I can get to some of that stuff, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
be with clients or my own personal kids, of just sitting literally for hours, just letting them weep
Mm-hmm.
and cry
Yeah.
and be upset is really sad. And it's something, even to moments, will just grit me, because you just know they're facing some realities that are really hard to face. Like, some of their
Yeah.
childhood is moving, they're moving past some of the veil
Mm-hmm.
of childhood, and facing some things about control and life and death. And it's been really sad. At the same time, there's been this really strange beauty and connection that comes from it. We did a lot of journal writing as a family. We did a lot, and still do a lot, of just at night looking through pictures and videos.
Mm-hmm.
And we will get together, obviously, with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and other people in our family, and just talk about stories and laugh and cry. And because what else is there to do but to really remember these beautiful people,
Mm-hmm.
and the memories and moments that we got to have, and be thankful for that, while also creating room for just the pain.
Yeah.
And there's no, this is just the type of worldview and perspective I have. There's no real reconciling the two. Like, I don't have a pretty bow to then, like, tie it all up.
Mm-hmm.
That I
Right.
think maybe other people have a different take on that, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. I think to be human is to live in the midst of these kinds of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And continuing to get up and go to soccer and school and be with friends and laugh and play, and then times to cry and be sad and be angry,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to allow it to ebb and flow and come and go, because this is what it's like to be human.
Yeah.
Is so it's
If,
been,
yeah. It
yeah.
feels like you're like what I hear is like letting it all in, letting it all pass through. But what you've created is this consistency, and the grounding is with each other, and your connection becomes the consistency and the grounding that they have. Because kind of
Yeah.
left all that stuff, it kind of feels like, oh my gosh, you're all over the place and you're a slave to
Yeah.
like these big powerful things that come through, and it can feel that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But what kind of
Yeah.
you keep on coming back to is like, let's continue to connect, let's continue to do this together, let's continue to, love each other, and that creates the like stability for them,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
We have like our family motto that we took over a couple years ago because it came across at our favorite English Premier League soccer team, Liverpool. One of their mottos is "You'll never walk alone,"
Mm-hmm.
and they sing this song before their matches, and it's something that we started to say to each other a couple of years ago, especially me and Joelle to the kids. And there's a couple really good versions of that song that we will pull up from time to time and just listen to. And something we'll say all the time is "You'll never walk alone."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not suggesting that we get to walk through beauty all the time or that we get to walk through pleasure or entertainment or success,
Mm-hmm.
because we won't. While we're walking, though, is we won't be alone. We
Mm-hmm.
have our different family members. We have friends. We have memories. We have things that we care about. We have ourselves in this journey to continue to walk
Mm-hmm.
forward in the midst of these kinds of things, which is easier said than done.
Sure.
It's not a perfect process. Yeah, I'm a therapist. I wish I could say my whole parenting and life is so intentional and research based and
Yeah.
organic. It's
Mm-hmm.
just not because
Yeah.
it's so much freaking pressure
Yeah.
and
Of course
and
not.
I it's messy and there's times where we get, okay, we need to go laugh and play and move on. It's just
Yeah.
it's a cluster.
Sure.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
we tried to maintain that we always come back to, you're not alone. We're here together, and this is what will get us through this. And
Yeah.
that's just our family's take.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an incredibly deep motto for a European football club.
It is, and it
You
actually
know what I
comes
mean?
from
I
their
feel like it's
yeah
like, whoa, okay, we're getting
yeah.
like really like,
It's
you
actually
know.
really beautiful. I highly recommend. They have a big story with death in their soccer team, and just fans at some big matches have died. But it's just really actually beautiful. I really have appreciated this idea of like community and togetherness.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I know that for our take, I think some people they want to extend out to the next, well, about what happens after life and all those things. I don't know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
open to
Mm-hmm.
things. What I do know though is what I is here, and I think
Mm-hmm.
coming together and being able to cry and grieve and be with people and hug and laugh, um, is
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's been super
Yeah.
meaningful for me,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know I witnessed some of that, being down a couple weeks ago for the memorial, seeing some of that community and the people around you guys, really beautiful thing. So, hey, those are some really great insights. And I know, maybe anyone listening, watching that are, you know, leaning into times of grief and loss with
mm,
children, those
yeah,
are some really helpful tools, Reid. So thanks. That's good.
yeah.
Some good stuff. I want to talk about uh, your project that you just put out into the world
Hmm.
with
Yeah,
this book. And a couple nights ago, you get together with your community down there, celebrated
yeah.
this thing. I love it. I love that I mean, anyone who puts something out in the world that they create, some original ideas and thoughts and puts that together, I just think is such a beautiful thing. And I love that um, you did this. So the book is Finding Our Way Again. It's poems and conversations for rediscovering relationship intimacy. Why that? What drew you to creating something like that?
Well, really, it was my passive aggressive way to try to get to Joelle. It was, I'm just kidding. Um,
She's
no,
not
that's
listening
my,
to me, so I'm gonna
she,
write a book about it.
yeah, fine. Then did I write that? Interesting, perspective. No, I'm kidding. I do this for a living, right?
Yeah.
And I see couples, I see friends, I just live in a world. I'm around people and I see how when we stop becoming interesting, intimate people together and we stop sharing and becoming curious and open
Mm-hmm.
and compassionate, things just wither away, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a book to try to, working with couples. There's so many different parts of relationships we talk about, and so I take notes and jot things down. And people always want, oh, send me what we talked about, and I finally just kind of organize some things together. I wanted to talk about different things in a non-threatening, while also non-academic, super heady way,
Mm-hmm.
because people don't read as much as we used to, and men in particular don't read as much.
Mm-hmm.
And we have technology and things that get our attention so quick. So I wanted to do something that was short and sweet, something that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
easy to get, and also to make you think a little bit and make you try to engage.
Mm-hmm.
That was the real
Yeah.
purpose. It wasn't to try to come up with some brand new theory or some big, thing
Yeah.
that so it was this idea of trying to put something out there. I don't know what my real goal right is. I just know that when I see all of the things that people do on YouTube, I go, I could do that. What the
Sure.
heck?
Yeah.
It's like, I could do that. What
Yeah.
the heck?
Yeah,
Like,
you
oh,
have this experience. You have this
like, what the
experience and
heck?
wisdom. Yeah, you have this experience and wisdom, and you're seeing it every day. And that's what I like about it too. I like how digestible it is. I love how accessible it is, and I love a a book that you could something you can constantly come back to that can sit
Right,
there. That's it's in your bedside table. That's close. There are on the kitchen table that you could
right.
pot. You're sitting down with your partner and you open it up and like what's great about this is like I mean you can flip to any like section and there's just like incredibly engaging questions. Even
Yeah,
to sit and talk about like go through like one or two of them over like a glass of wine or a meal or whatever. It can just be you can just really opening up. That's what I love about it.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of couples were asking, and there's good stuff out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great
Sure.
professionals that have good stuff. This was a way that's kind of easier to get to some questions. That you
Hmm.
could sit with a bottle of wine on a Wednesday night. Kids are just got to sleep, but you're looking to have a different conversation.
Yeah.
The thing too that I was reminded talking with someone for couples who's maybe their person isn't as available or desiring to
Hmm.
want to go there, or people that are divorced or separated, or people that like don't have that person but they're kind of interested still in growing in this part of themselves. It was also a way to grow as an individual and to ask yourself, and what kind of partner are you, what kind of person are you,
Yeah.
are you in touch with yourself? Do you have compassion for yourself? Do you know what you like and what you don't like? Are you aware of some of the things you do that kind of suck?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's like normal.
Hmm.
It's also a way to just as an individual to kind of get in touch also with you, that I think sometimes we can go so external for things to tell us and to get to
Hmm.
me, but like
Yeah.
what's going on here and do I know? So
Hmm.
it's kind of another way too, for if your partner is not willing or wanting to go there, or you don't have a partner in that way, it still can be something that can get you kind of more in touch with you, which is nice
Yeah.
sometimes. Maybe you don't, maybe not
Sure.
everyone
Yeah.
wants to do that, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there.
yeah,
There's so much content. There's so many things that are being said to us and a lot of really really good things. And I think
sure.
what often happens is that I've felt this way where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm consuming so much information and a
Right.
lot of really good stuff. How come I still like feel like shit?" And
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times it's because what we miss is any sort of like integration of information. It's like I can hear, you know, it's important to be able to regulate your nervous system, and oh, it's important to be able to do this, and
Right.
I shake my head,
Right.
yes, 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 and I keep on
Yeah. Yeah.
scrolling. All right,
Yeah.
whatever, yeah, yeah, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
where am I actually like able to like integrate and like take what I'm learning into the the true arena of learning, which is relationship, and like put that into practice. So that's what I love
Yeah.
about the questions that you put out in this book. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna learn something, but I'm immediately able to like begin to like process, to like take this into relationship and into that arena to begin to test it out.
Yeah. 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 Like I think some of the questions, like here's one off the top of my head that I can remember. Like A, so I go through the alphabet, right? So A through
Hmm.
Z is a difference. So A, the word is acceptance, and I write a little
Hmm.
poem, right, about
Hmm.
acceptance,
Yep.
and then there's questions about
Yep.
acceptance, right?
Yep.
Like it's not overwhelming. The questions though is like, what are two things that if you could accept about your partner would make your relationship more enjoyable? Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like
That's a
what
tough
if,
question. That could
right?
be a tough
It's like
question. Yeah.
what if like you we just learn like there are some things in life, and I say this all the time, little caveat, not all experiences and all times across all places do all of these things perfectly line up.
Yeah.
Context matters. There are
Hmm.
situations where we don't
Yeah.
accept things. I always want to throw those things out there. But in general, like, gosh, if we could accept, like, my wife, if she leaves the sun visor down in my car one more time, I mean, I laugh because it seems silly, but these silly things that just bother the heck out of us that the other person does.
Is
And
this a real thing here?
this is a real thing. Like every time like
Okay.
this, I get in my car and the sun visor is just down. Even and I don't know why. I'm like I have to put it up. Maybe because like there's so many things in my life that everyone just gets and like gets to have and do, and I'm like,
You
can I
just want
have like
one thing your way.
one small thing that's just mine? And I laugh, and I'll text her and be like, woman, I swear, if
Yeah.
it's funny now
Yeah.
because I'm teasing because I need to accept that she's going to do this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean she doesn't love me or she's not listening to me or she's not taking me seriously. It
Hmm.
means she's a human. She has
Hmm.
other shit going on,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be okay. We're
Yeah.
gonna be okay. Like,
Yeah.
let this not be a one of
Hmm.
those things I add to my shit
Yeah.
pile for her that I can
Yeah.
come at her
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because maybe those can be some real. That's a big question about like what do you feel that either your partner doesn't accept about you, you don't accept about them. Those can really get at some things, and I love that too because I think in this book there are questions like that, and then there's stuff that's kind of more lighthearted and fun and play
Yeah,
and more.
yeah,
Let's kind of fantasize together. Let's dream a bit. Let's like talk about some of these things. That just kind of opens up,
yeah,
yeah. Because I think along the way, like people, and what in any relationship, friendship, maybe and parenting with your kids, your partner, whatever.
totally.
Sometimes life can just become so much, and we
Hmm.
just get so focused on all of our to-dos that we sometimes forget actually how to like have conversations that open the door and open up. And sometimes we just need something like this that just reignites that spark in us to explore and get curious. That's, I think, at the end of the day, that's what I love about it, and what I think is so important in life, and these themes that I talk a lot about with Daring to Dad: fatherhood, masculinity, faith. I think the core skill set at the center of each of success around each of those areas is curiosity, and
Yeah, yeah,
staying curious about ourselves, staying
yeah,
curious about the people in our lives, and not ever sitting back saying, I have them figured out. I know what they are. I know what this is. I know what they're going to do. I know what they're going to say, yada, yada, yada. It's like
yeah, yeah,
that's really
yeah.
important.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know they say curiosity killed the cat. That being said, I think you're right. Curiosity is a main ingredient, I think, to keeping things interesting, to being interesting, to being
Mm-hmm.
open, flexible,
Mm-hmm.
adaptable. If we're not curious, then
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like that was I know sometimes I get, I'm critical about sometimes, religious upbringing and things like that. But I think that was one thing that I wish was more emphasized, for me in that environment. That in what often was sacrificed, on the altar of like certainty and absolute truth and all this was often curiosity. And I think that
right.
it's such a
Yeah,
it takes I feel like it takes effort in our culture to maintain a sense of curiosity, but right, like, I mean, look at everything that's going on right now, right? I mean, everyone is the polarization, the like this or that, it's that way, like they're imagine if we were building more skills around curiosity and
right,
learning more about people and what people are really saying and what people are really behind things for
right,
people and
right.
understanding. I feel like it would be much more all around, like a more empathetic, more understanding type of environment.
100%. I mean, that's what I deal with on the daily with couples, right? Is and people, right? It's like, you know, can we maybe quiet and listen to what they're trying to say, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can maybe find some of ourself in there and connect with some things that might change how we then go about
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this.
yeah,
If we can, but you're right. I think there's a lot of beliefs and belief. That's why I think even putting something out here like a book, like it's just I am very cautious with these things because I'm not dogmatic. It's not these are the eight principles and you this is the
yeah.
thing and you gotta this is
Mm-hmm.
I am I've learned enough to know that most of that is bullshit and there are
Mm-hmm.
some great things people can do,
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time I think to be more curious and compassionate and open can create a lot of health.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again, I'm
absolutely.
not dogmatic about it. Do what you want to do, everybody.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate you putting this out into the world, and I hope people find their way to finding our way again. And I know
Right.
people, yeah, right. Hey
Yes.
man, this has been great.
Yeah, it's
Walking
been
through
good.
some of this stuff. Where can people find the book and connect to you and
Oh
stuff like that? I mean,
man.
I know you do you there in Orange County, is kind of where you're located. You do mostly like in person stuff, but people can connect you through via this book, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I do therapy in the state of California,
Yeah.
by the laws given to me. Yeah, so reidwalton.com, right?
Hey,
Obviously,
hey,
R
nice.
R
Mm-hmm.
E I D. Well, and then books on Amazon.
Awesome.
Um, those would be. There's other websites I think that are out there, but let's be real,
Mm.
it's Amazon.
Yeah,
And
I have it linked on my website,
oh,
on my
cool,
Instagram, places like that too, so people can
cool,
find it there. But
awesome.
yeah, man, this has been really great. I appreciate you carving out some time, sharing your experience and wisdom, man. Not only you're my brother, but I respect the hell out of you as a man and a therapist, a father. So I'm grateful that people got to hear some of your wisdom today. So appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for asking me to join you.
yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
man. All right, thanks
Hey,
everyone.
dude, good
Take it
seeing you.
easy.
Talk
All
soon.
right.
Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for watching, for listening. If you enjoyed it, one way you can support my work is by subscribing, by sharing, all of those things. Thanks so much. I'm incredibly grateful for your support.